right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 3 of the OTS Project. Here we go. Let's do it. Theo, Kyle Bridger, we're here. We're ready. What's up, my man?
What's going on? It's another great weekend. We're recording today on Friday, a little bit earlier than usual.
About an hour before
So
SmackDown
I'm pretty sure
starts,
both of us are pretty much going to be watching SmackDown after this. I'm more than sure.
100%. Motor City Machine Guns are in action. I got to watch.
You got to watch. One of the best tag teams around for sure.
That's right. So what's going on with you this week? What happened with you this week? Anything cool? Anything fun? What are you watching, playing?
I've been watching a lot of My Hero. I'm still kind of going through that whole process. I just finished up season 4. Every episode I watch of this show, I swear to God, I'm like, the credits roll, and I'm like, holy crap, that was a great episode. I want to watch the other one. And I look at the clock. I'm like, oh, no, wait, it's 11:30 at night. I have to go to bed for work tomorrow. I can't do that anymore.
That was me with Attack on Titan for sure.
Yeah.
I had to limit myself. I was like, oh, man, all right, next episode. And then I'm like, oh, it's like 4 a.m. I need to go to sleep.
So. Exactly, yeah. Other than that, I've just been working out every other day or so.
That boy bulking
just
up.
Trying to go to the gym more and more. Bulk up, get some muscle. Yeah. Yep.
Well, for me, I this past week I'm not done. I'm in like the epilogue or whatever of Red Dead 2, but I've pretty much finished my second playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2. Literally one of the greatest games ever made. Rockstar does not miss, whether it's a GTA title or it's a Red Dead title. They don't miss, man. They make movies in video game form is really what they do.
Absolutely. One of the best games of all time for sure.
Also, in a surprising turn of events I have here. So I told you I've been kind of getting back into trading cards recently. Pokemon cards, WB cards, probably going to be the main two that I focus on, But so I was going through and I'm kind of like price charting all the cards that I have. And I have a lot of cards between Pokemon cards, WB cards. And I just kind of accumulated over the years, like football cards and basketball cards and stuff. I'm not really big into collecting them, but I would get them from my dad in the pawn shop. People would sell them and bring them in and whatnot. So I have I was cleaning out this cabinet I have, and I found it's funny. It's funny. It's like from the GTA 4 collector's edition. I don't even know how I have this. This also probably came through the pawn shop. I have like a lockbox from GTA 4, and I'm pretty sure it's from the collector's edition, which is pretty cool. So I'm cleaning out this cabinet, and I find this. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I have this, and it's really heavy. And I'm like, what the hell is in this thing? So I open it up, and it's just filled to the brim of cards. Horrible way to store them because they're not protected. They're not in a binder. They were literally all just stacked in this metal box. Not good. So I'm going through it.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of like wrestling cards that I threw in there, and it's all these football cards and basketball cards and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, these probably aren't worth much. And I already told you, and for the audio listeners, they're not going to be able to see it. But for the video people, because hopefully we have the video up by now. I'm scrolling through, I'm looking, a bunch of random cards, people I don't know, and I randomly come across a top loader, which is like the plastic kind of case, and I'm like, oh, okay, this might be something interesting. And I see a Sharpie, like I see a Sharpie mark on it. I'm like, oh, is this an autographed card? And it's not just any autographed card. I apparently own a signed Kobe Bryant card. I don't know how I have this. I don't know where this came from. Probably was in the pawn shop and I stole it. My dad was probably like, don't touch that. And I was like, cool, I'm going to touch it. So yeah, this was a cool surprise. Probably one of the coolest things, one of the most shocking things that's happened to me in a while is pulling out this random, like early, he's got like an afro and everything. So this is like 2000 Kobe Bryant card. So that's my big dub for the week was this incredible Kobe Bryant card. Kobe Bryant, I'm not like a super big basketball guy, but I would say Kobe Bryant is definitely my favorite player out of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, anybody. Kobe Bryant is my number one. So pulling that is really cool. I would imagine it's worth a lot of money, but I don't want to sell it. I think, it might be different if I'm kind of on hard times and stuff, but for the most part, that's going to stay in my collection for the rest of my life.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the GOATs. That was It was crazy. I pulled up Snapchat as I was working, and you just texted me that, and I was like, "What the hell? You found a literal piece of gold in your cabinet, and you didn't even know 100%. It was in there."
100%. I called my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of shaking right now. I was legitimately like shaking and kind of like, holy shit. She thought someone died or that like one of the dogs died or something like that. Same thing with my sister. There's my dog yelping in the back. Same thing with my sister. She was like, bro, I thought you were saying mom got in a car accident or something. I'm like, no, and you know, like Grace, like she is like she played basketball all through high school. She's a way bigger basketball fan than me. So she was like, holy shit, bro, what? So yeah, big dub for the week.
Right.
So our topic this week, we're sticking through the kind of WWE games topic for the month. We know on I believe the 27th we're getting some news on 2K25. So I kind of figured let's run with a little WWE games month here. So we did our top 5 wrestling games of all time last week. And so this week is going to be our top 5 wrestling game features, modes, things like that. Before we get into that, though, I want to, thank the Wrestling Nerds Radio Network, as always, for letting us have this podcast a part of their network. You can follow them at the WNRN on Instagram and X. Shop WNRN. You can get some cool Wrestling Nerds Radio Network merch. You can get an OTS Project T-shirt, maybe a couple more coming in the near future. And an update on something that happened kind of last week. We were talking about our top 5 wrestling games, and your number 1 is WWE All Stars, as it should be. Great game. And we were talking about 2K
Incredible.
Battlegrounds. We kind of, I asked you if you played it. You said no, and I said, oh, go ahead. You should definitely check it out. It's not too dissimilar from WWE All Stars. And I surprisingly have an update on a video game that's been dead and came out in 2020. Last night I was on YouTube and I'm looking for videos to watch, and I saw a video about 2K Battlegrounds. And I'm like, you know what? I got 20 minutes to waste, so let's put it on. So I put it on. The video is from 616 Entertainment, someone I'm subscribed to. He does cool videos, and apparently there is an active scam regarding 2K Battlegrounds from 2020 in 2025. This is a crazy thing. I did not expect this, but I want to bring it up because it kind of relates to last week. And if anybody's listening to this and they're interested for some reason in purchasing the game, don't do it, apparently, because he was talking about just the game in general, and it was like a retrospective of the game, right? And he said so he bought the digital deluxe edition for $10, along with some other like DLC thing that unlocks like 75 characters or something like that. There's literally an active scam apparently where he downloaded everything and none of it worked. The game worked, but the digital deluxe edition was supposed to come with like some extra people or something like that, not in the game anywhere to be found. The unlocked 75 plus superstars did not happen. Every superstar was still locked except for the base people that you get. So yeah, if anybody's thinking about for some reason playing 2K Battlegrounds, don't buy it, because apparently Sony and 2K have just this active scam. He went through PlayStation's like support, like the support chat, and they basically were like, well, we can't give you a refund on the game because you played it, and we can't give you a refund on any of the DLC because it was quote-unquote consumed. To which he said it was not consumed because nothing was unlocked, nothing extra was there. So I hope he gets, his refund or whatever. But yeah, so I said play it. If you do play it, which you probably won't, but if you do, don't buy anything extra other than the base game. And anyone else that may be interested in purchasing that game for whatever reason, don't buy the base game. Don't buy anything else, because apparently you will get scammed. And 2K and Sony don't care.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
Feel bad for that guy.
100%. All right. So top 5 wrestling game features. You want to start, Mr. Theo?
I will start. When we came up with the idea for this subject, for the most part, I feel like I had to think a good bit about all the features that I would want to bring up. But the second you brought up the idea for this podcast, I was like, there's one feature I definitely have to bring up. And that is, I'm pretty sure this is a WWE 13 exclusive feature.
Okay.
It is a custom theme song feature for entrances.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
For both custom superstars and roster superstars. You can like upload songs as like MP3 files onto a flash drive and then upload it to your console and then upload it to the game to use as like custom entrance songs.
100%. That's not on my list. It slipped my mind, but I wish it was on my list because that was an incredible feature. It wasn't an exclusive though, because it was in 2K14.
Okay.
So it
I
was in
thought it was just
2K14,
13.
and I feel like it may have been in WB12 as well. I think that may have been the first year you could do it. So there was, I think, like
Okay.
3 years where you could do it. But yeah, that was an incredible feature. I think you could even like you do the MP3 stick or whatever, like the USB stick. But I think you could even download like if you went through your internet browser on your PS3 and like downloaded a file, I think it would show up to you. I don't think you had to have like the USB for it. I think you could like literally download it through the internet on your PS3. But yeah, incredible feature. Me and my friend
Mm-hmm.
Pepperfield, who I used to manage, he plays the games. He's kind of like he doesn't pay for any game full price. He waits until like Black Friday and then he'll buy like 15 games and then he never touches them. But he always kind of plays the new WB game when it's in like the PlayStation Plus catalog or if it's on sale. That has been a feature that this kid has asked for since 2K15. Every time, I mean, I haven't known him that long, but every time since I met him, every time we've talked about this stuff, that is the number one thing where he's just like, it's bullshit. We should be able to have custom music, and I agree. I think there's some sort of issue or whatever. Obviously, there's a reason why they haven't done it yet, but I do agree. Like that's something that definitely should be implemented into 2K26, 27, whatever it is.
It's probably something that has to do with like licensing or copyright issues or whatever. If people try and like upload stuff like that,
Yeah,
it'll probably just get copyrighted and whatnot. They just don't want to have to deal with the hassle of it, which I can understand. It's a legality issue, but
right.
it's still an awesome feature.
I
I
feel
wish
like
they kept it going.
it's probably more likely that they find a way to integrate like a Spotify feature or something like that rather than like actually downloading and uploading files. It'd probably be like connect your Spotify account or maybe even multiple, whatever account you use, hopefully for whatever service. Because I use YouTube Music, I don't use Spotify, but hopefully it's probably more likely that it would be that like here's an integration through Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever, and you could just set a theme song instead of downloading it. You just search and set a theme song for a certain person, which would be great because yeah, you could use for like our cause, we could choose whatever song we want, or like Dakota Kai this past Monday on Raw, she got a brand new theme song. It's obviously probably not going to be in the new game, but if there was that feature when that song is released, then you could just set that as her theme song. So that would be
I feel like
great.
another cool use of like an integration feature like that would be to use it as well for like menu music as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Maybe
great.
bring in some like older themes and whatnot that aren't in the games anymore to kind of keep
That'd
it
be
all
really cool.
together. I feel like that'd be cool as well.
That would be cool. All right, so number 5 for me might be sacrilegious to Jack or Theo. I keep messing up. Might be sacrilegious to Theo, but number 5 for me is Road to WrestleMania. It's a little low on my list, I know, but as I was
Oh, well.
compiling this, I just kind of landed in at number 5. But yeah, great mode. I love that mode. Probably like the best story mode. Or at least I guess maybe best run of story modes. I would probably say. Yeah, I love. There was always like a wacky story. There's like a serious story. It was just really really fun. It was really cool, and it was just like a great kind of I don't know kind of way to do things. I guess because like you play like I think it was like WB12. You play that story mode, and it's like it lasts a really long time. It goes past WrestleMania, which is cool, but like sometimes it gets a little confusing on like okay where are we at, and then you gotta like you're like where am I at? We passed WrestleMania, and then they kind of take liberties with like a timeline. You're like past WrestleMania, but you're like at SummerSlam already. You're like I missed like 3-4 months of like pay per views. I don't know what's going on. So I feel like them having that where it was set in like hey, it kind of always started at like December or January, and you go to WrestleMania, and then it ends at WrestleMania was always like a really really good idea. So yeah, that's my number 5 Road to WrestleMania mode from I think it was 2009
Uh,
to 2011 or 2010, something like that.
yeah, it was in the like the later SmackDown versus Raw games. It's
Mm.
definitely very good. I didn't really add anything like Road to WrestleMania or
Uh-oh.
like the showcases on there because I was kind of going for more like actual specific like game
See,
features and
now
whatnot throughout the
this is what
series.
happens. This is what happens when you write your list 5 minutes before we start recording. You can't remember things. That's what happens, my friend.
It's not that I didn't remember it. It's just that I didn't really consider that more so as a feature. I just kind of considered that the story of the
Okay,
games and whatnot.
I got you.
So I have like actual more so features on here
Okay.
than the stories, but the stories are always amazing. Road to WrestleMania are always super fun, very enjoyable stuff. Always unique
Yeah,
stories.
when I was compiling my list, I just kind of went like any mode feature, like anything like that. I just kind of compiled into my list. So what's your number 4?
Okay. I think we're gonna have some very different lists here then, which is gonna be very good.
Okay.
No overlapping, hopefully. I have custom finishers from the SmackDown versus Raw series,
Huh. Okay.
where you could
Yeah.
pretty much create a whole string of moves as your finisher and whatnot.
Mhm.
You can make some of the sick stuff where you're flipping around, flipping them around, and then finally hitting them with the finisher. You can do stupid stuff where you're just power bombing them 8 times over, and that's
Mhm.
just your finisher. I always thought that was such a fun and unique way of not having to copy someone else's finisher as your own finisher, but actually be able to make your own finisher for whatever creator wrestler you were going to use in the SmackDown versus Raws.
Yeah, that was always a great feature. That's a feature I'd like to have come back to. I feel like I feel like every feature that's been taken out of a wrestling game, for the most part, people probably want back. Or at least in the WB line. But yeah, no, that mode was really cool, or that feature was really cool. Um, yeah, you could do like simplest thing, like, oh, here's just a cool transition into an RKO, or you could be like, oh, I'm gonna pick you up for a powerbomb and then transition into a fireman's carry, and then I'm gonna throw you off, and you're gonna hit your stomach on the mat, and then I'm gonna run and hit the ropes, and then I'm gonna hit a splash, but then I'm gonna roll through and hit a moonsault, and then I'm gonna pick you back up, and then like you could just it'd be like
You can make like a whole 2-minute finisher.
yeah, I was just about to say like 2 minute sequence of shit just to get to your finisher. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was really good. Or I was kind of too young. I was watching like the indies and stuff at the time, but that was a great way for people to like if they make like a create a wrestler of a certain indie person whose finisher isn't in the game, they can if it's simple enough, they can go and like make it in the creator finisher, which is a really cool thing. So yeah, that's a really good feature. I'd love to see it come back in like a future title for sure.
Mhm.
My number 4, kind of in a way harps off of yours a little bit. Mine just as a whole is the creation suite / community creations. Um, I think when you compile your list and stuff, like I think it depends on the kind of player you are. Maybe some people just play matches and that's it. Maybe people are just solely really into the story. Some people are. Most people probably like create people. I'm one of those people. Every year, I've told you I have like a whole universe full of either friends or fake people that I've made for years with
Usually
my
both.
own with my own like it's my own company with my own brands. It's got like a developmental brand. I've gone off the rails. I'm insane. I'm a fiend for creating and doing stuff in universe mode and whatnot. So yeah, my number 4 in general is just the creation suite / the community creations. I think every year it's like small updates, but I feel like every year they do a pretty good job of like adding kind of new parts and new things, new hairstyles to be able to use while not really even taking anything out. Like there's still stuff in 2K24 in the Creative Superstar. There's still like tights from like 2K15, 2K14 that are still in there that people still use. It's not like, oh, that's from an old game, I don't use it. Like people still use that stuff because it's so far gone that maybe it belonged to someone that no longer works there, and now you use it for your call because it looks cool and it doesn't. You're not wearing Randy Orton's trunks. You're wearing some random guy's trunks from like 2K16 that don't really matter. Community creations more so like the amount of incredible, almost I'll say like works of art that I've been able to download through community creations, whether it's an arena or a superstar. I mean, some of like the Kenny Omega calls that you see every year are just like on another level, and it gets better and better every year. It's insane. Um, some of the arenas I've downloaded, there was one guy, I don't remember his name, from this past year that started uploading arenas, and they were like really creative, really cool. Like there's one, it was kind of like a Slamboree-esque thing, like a baseball kind of deal, and it had like a Minitron that was like kind of bars going like this, and then a Circletron that was a baseball, so it literally looked like a baseball that was thrown. And I'm like, that's just, I would have never thought of that. I could create some kind of cool stuff. I think I make some cool little creations, but something like that I would have never even like thought was possible to do. So yeah, the creation suite in general, whether it's create a wrestler, create an arena, um, and the community creation, create a championship, all that stuff is my number 4. I think every year it's pretty solid.
Yeah. I think honestly these games are truly just elevated and their longevity is secured by the fact that the community is able to come together and really create so many incredible things, whether it's superstars, arenas, titles, all that kind of stuff. And I
Mm,
think every year 2K does a little bit more to help keep the creation suite alive and also expand it in a different way
mm,
to where you can really just help build your universe more and more with every single year. You like to go with the route of creating like your own superstars, your own brands and stuff like that. Me, I've always been a little more silly with my methods of community creations, where I just download like actual pop culture characters and just have them wrestle in rings and whatnot. That was always kind of my favorite thing to do. Of just like, oh, okay, we're gonna have Superman and Goku fight in this Hell in a Cell match and just see who wins.
Incredible.
That was always one of my favorite things to do. But I mean, there are so many different kind of creations on there, varying in any sort of way, where anybody can really just get into it and enjoy it. I follow this Instagram account. I can't remember what the name of it is. But like every week, they will just upload onto Instagram like 20 different pictures of these stupidest things that they can find on community creations. And me and my coworkers always get a laugh out of it because it's always something so stupid.
That's cool. I kind of have something similar on TikTok where I follow a guy that kind of does the same thing, but it's that like wacky stuff. It's really cool stuff. Like after every PLE, he'll go through and find like 5 cause for attires and stuff like that, and it'll be like, download this because this is CM Punk's attire from Bad Blood, or Cody's attire from Bash in Berlin, like stuff like that. It's really cool. The whole thing is just incredible, and so I give 2K the props for putting that stuff in there and whatnot, but I really give the props to the fans because they're the ones that are making these things, and like I said, it's on a whole different level. Whether it's Christian Bale's Batman or Penta in his attire from his debut, or just an alternate attire that someone makes for Seth Rollins for his WrestleMania gear. Like all 3 are going to be incredible creations.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your number 4?
My number 3?
Or your number 3, my bad.
Yeah, we're at 3s now.
Oh.
Mine is a bit of a forgotten feature, and also not one that was of great quality, I will say, but something that I did enjoy the uniqueness of. In 2K15, and I also think 2K16, in the My Rise story mode, there was this gameplay feature that was pretty much unique to those 2 modes, where you could play out actual promos in like real time, to where depending on whether you want to be a face or heel, you could choose like different dialogue options as the promo was going on and developing. And it would be able to affect like, oh, how much cheers you got, how much boos you got, how you were interacting with different superstars, your new relations with these different superstars because of what you said in the ring. It's something that was left behind very early on, and though I will say it was not of a great quality when they first brought it out, I think if they were to have continued developing that, I feel like that would have been an amazing feature going forward for My Rise. But it was still something that I thought was very unique and very fun, and something that I'd wish we could get more of again in future installments.
Yeah, that was definitely a cool feature. It was in universe mode too. It wasn't just in My Rise. It was in universe, to where you can like schedule promos in between matches, and then it would be the same kind of like mini game, I guess you could say. Yeah, I thought it was a cool feature. I think the only issue I had with it was like a lot of the responses were like really dumb. Like they were like really goofy, like John Cena kind of responses. It's like that's Heath Slater, the chick from Wendy's, like type of responses. And so that's where I was like,
he would never say that.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, that is kind of messed up, because you got like Bray Wyatt in the ring, and he's talking about something like that, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. This is too much. And I hated the like timer for My Rise or My Career. It made sense, but like in universe mode, I don't need a timer. Like let me stay on that screen for 30 minutes if I want, because I'm doing something or whatever, and then go back and I'll pick a response. You know what I'm saying? Like, So those are my only 2 gripes with that. It was like silly, kind of dumb responses where I'm like, okay, I can't have Undertaker saying that he's gonna beat, Santino Marella so bad that he's gonna send him to, some stupid thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? That, and yeah, the timer, like the bar, I didn't like that. I was like, and yeah, My Career made sense and whatnot. But for universe mode, I'm like, dude, get rid of that. So if it does come back, let us get rid of that timer, and let us have more serious responses, or be able to, like, I don't know, maybe type out a response or something. I don't know.
They would definitely need to fine tune it, but I think even still, I really kind of enjoyed, I guess the idea of it was very, very cool. They just 100%. Need to work on making it better.
So my number 3, again, not too far off from yours, because there was something similar in there, was Story Editor that was in 2K God, it came in, I think, 2K, or it came in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, and I think the last game it was in with 2K14. So
Yes.
it was there. It was there for a while, a long time. This by far is generally probably really one of the best features overall that the WWE games ever had. That's like that and the custom music are probably the two top requested returns since we've gotten GM mode back at least. That's probably the two top things that people request every year, and they don't seem to want to do either. But yeah, story editor, that was incredible, dude. I mean, that if that existed now as its own mode, I would probably play that more than universe mode because there's just so much more creativity in it. Yeah, the ability to literally just book out your own show, whether it's a Raw, a SmackDown, an ECW, a pay-per-view, a tribute to the troops. Like you choose the venue, you choose the theme of the show, and you choose, you know what I'm saying, you could do 2 matches, whatever you want, whether it's singles, tag. There's really no limitation. Anything you could do in exhibition, you could do in there from what I remember. Title matches, women's matches, whatever it is, and then you can go into anything else, dude. That's the key. Because in universe mode, you could do matches, you could do whatever. But the key to story editor was the fact that it was a story editor. The fact that you can do 2 matches, and then you can have it go backstage, and here's, John Cena just got run over by a car, and the EMTs are checking on him, and you can have Michael Cole have a little. They didn't have the voices, but like Michael Cole, a little text bubble come up, like he's doing commentary, being like, "Wait a minute, what happened to John Cena? Did he just get hit by that car?" And then you can go into another match, do another segment where, oh, here's Kelly getting interviewed, and then what I'm saying, like, just that ability was incredible. One of my favorite modes in any wrestling game for sure. And again, yeah, that needs to come back. I personally, we've talked about it before, I want it to come back, but I don't really necessarily want it to come back as its own thing. I would rather it be integrated into universe mode. I don't want it to take over universe mode. I don't want them to be like, all right, universe is gone, but here's, story creator. I'd rather be, here's universe mode, we've revamped it, and we've added the ability to do this story creator. You can play universe mode as you normally do, where you just do matches and you move on, or you can add, like the same thing where you book out the show like you normally do in universe mode, but be able to add segments in between where here's an in-ring promo, here's a backstage promo, here's, here's 2 people out to dinner, and someone comes to crash it, like all that stuff. I would like to see that be integrated into universe mode for sure.
So that's actually my number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. This was always my favorite thing to do back in like WWE 13 and WWE 2K14. There were times even when like 2K15 and 16 were out where I would still go back to those games and still just create a story.
Yeah.
I always loved being able to just make whatever cutscenes I wanted to make, either with like the superstars already on the roster or custom superstars or whatever. I would always love making the stupidest scenes where like Heath Slater was delivering flowers to the Ultimate Warrior for whatever reason. It was always just the most fun thing, and I would absolutely love to see it come back again. Like you said, integrated with the universe mode. I think that'd be the best possible way to do it. Because I feel like, if I remember correctly, it already kind of was like that already in a way, or maybe it was already kind of like, story editor was kind of already integrated in a way with the universe mode. I feel like
I don't think it was. I feel like it was its own. It was its own thing. I feel like it was its own mode.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I'd still want it back. I loved it so much.
100%.
They've taken it away from me.
Yeah, 100%. That needs to come back. 2K devs, if you're somehow listening to this podcast, please let Kyle and Theo be the 2 deciding factors that make you finally go, damn it, we gotta bring back story editor and we gotta integrate it into universe mode.
Just let us be the deciding factor for all future decisions with the 2K series at this point.
There's something else I'll add to that, but I'll add to that when we get to like your number 1. Even though we've already talked about it, I'll add something to it. So,
okay.
Your number 2.
Oh shit. My number 2. Drinking water. My number 2.
Good idea. I'm gonna do the same.
Yeah. It's a very minor and small feature that not a lot of people really kind of recognize or delve into very much. But my number 2 is limb targeting, which has been a very prevalent feature.
I thought for a second, you were gonna go off the rails and be like, it's this tiny little feature that no one really cares about, and then name like the biggest feature in the game.
It's the showcase mode.
yeah. But that's hilarious. Limb targeting. would not have thought it would have been on anyone's list. But go ahead.
I mean, it's just I think it really brings a lot of depth to the kind of matches that you could really put on, especially if you're like playing with like characters that have like submissions as their finishers.
Mm.
You're gonna want to focus on whether it's like a sharpshooter, you're gonna want to focus on the legs,
Yeah.
or if it's some sort like if it's like the GTS, you're gonna want to focus not the GTS, whatever whatever
The Anaconda
finisher
Vice.
CM Punk. Yeah, the Anaconda Vice. You're gonna want to focus on the head.
Right.
Again, it's a very small feature, but I think it's something that really brings a lot of interesting depth to gameplay, especially if we're trying to make people bleed. You're just gonna want to keep attacking the head with objects and just fists all the time.
Mm.
I like it a lot. Fun.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. I
No,
like
yeah,
eggs.
that was a really cool little thing. I definitely agree. It definitely should probably come back. I think to add to that, something I'd like to see get taken out. I guess something that I'm not a big fan of that they've done. I think since 22. That fact that like when you're playing, if you want to do moves, you have to collar and elbow every single time, and then you go to do the move. I hate that. Let me hit up X, and then I just do the suplex, or down circle, and I hit a brainbuster. I don't like the collar and elbow, hit a move, pick him back up, collar and elbow, hit a move. I hate that. So yeah, bring limb targeting back and get rid of the fact that you have to like lock up every time you want to hit any move. For sure.
Right. Even if you're like trying to Irish whip someone, I could just like hold circle, and
You're
they
right,
can
right,
just get Irish whipped. I don't need to actually like grapple the person to do
100%.
anything.
100%. All right, my number 2. It's a little known feature nobody really cares about. Probably gonna get taken out next game.
Probably.
My number 2, GM mode.
Yeah, get
That's
it
my
out of
number
here.
2.
We don't need it.
No one likes it.
No one
requested
cares
it.
about GM mode. You're like the
2K.
only person I know that likes this mode.
2K just brought it back for no reason. They have their own agenda here. They're pushing their 2K GM mode agenda on us that nobody wants.
The
no.
liberal 2K pushing their agenda on us.
No. Yeah, that's my number 2. Obviously, probably one of the biggest features of all time to ever be in a wrestling game. Yeah, went on a break. It was in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, 7, 8, 9. Or no, 2006, 7, 8.
Yeah.
They got it out in 2009 for whatever reason. And then it made its triumphant return in, I believe, 22, right? It was like the first game back. Yeah. I will be honest. The ones from 2K22, 3, and 4, not a big fan of those. Again, because there are limitations. And in the original ones, there were limitations, but they were more reasonable just because of money and things like that. Whereas in here, they still have those limitations, but also there's limitations of like, oh, you wanted to do like you can't even do a Royal Rumble. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can only do like singles matches and tag matches. That's about it. And obviously they kind of improve each year and they add a little bit more. But so when I say GM mode, I'm really talking about, and I'm glad they did bring it back and we've had fun with it where we played. But I feel like if we want to do something like that, we just kind of share play and go into universe mode, and do our own thing. So yeah, I'm talking about like the original GM modes. Incredible. I always loved the draft feature. That was my favorite part. I was a kid, so money management was not on the table for me. So I was giving someone like Carlito, which no offense, Carlito, I love him, but I was giving Carlito a 1-year contract for like $500,000, and then I had no money to draft any cruiserweights or anything like that. So yeah, that was just great. You can pay for storylines. You had championships. I've never won a GM mode against the computer or whatever. I've never won because I'm pretty sure like the system doesn't like my booking. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not easy to win in general. Like I feel like anybody that's played it has said it's not really easy to win it. It is kind of hard. So yeah, GM mode, my number 2.
The system is rigged against me.
Yeah, it's a controversy and a conspiracy against me by Big Ukes.
Big Ukes.
They don't want to see me succeed. They don't want me to have my GM mode winner trophy in my locker room in SmackDown vs. Raw 2007.
Never.
And it pisses me off. I've never gotten it. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely a great mode. Whether it's like the classic SmackDown vs. Raws or like the newer ones in the 2K games, that's kind of the mode we've always played a lot of together. Very fun. I will say one of my least favorite things about the new ones that they've been doing is in these modes in the 2K games, You can pick ECW as a brand, but they will not tell you until the season has started, after the whole drafting period, that you cannot use women's superstars on the show at all. Even if you've already drafted 6 women, you can't use them. They're
That's
just
horrible.
sitting there
I didn't even
forever,
know that. I
unusable.
didn't even know
Yeah,
that. I
2K24,
had no
you
clue.
pick ECW as a brand and you draft women's superstars, you will not be able to use them at all for
That's
no
so weird.
reason.
Because
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I mean, I get because there wasn't like a women's title, but it doesn't mean you can't book them. And it's not like ECW didn't have women. Like in the 90s,
Yeah.
there were still women. There was, Dawn Marie and Beulah and all that. Like there was women. And then even in the WB ECW, there was Kelly and so, like there were women always on ECW. So that doesn't make much sense why you can't use them at all. That's weird. I didn't know that.
Even if there wasn't like a women's championship of sorts, they could easily just make one. It's not hard.
Yeah,
People have done it for years now.
right.
And B,
Here's what you do.
the show
You
is
take the ECW championship and you put it on a white strap, and that's all you had to do, guys.
that's all you have to do. It's literally the simplest thing.
Right.
And even still, like, it as a show is fundamentally the exact same thing as every other show.
Right.
So honestly, there is no real reason as to why we shouldn't be able to use the women's superstars. This has turned more into a rant than it has been as like a nod to the actual mode itself. Great
that'll
mode.
happen a lot when it comes to talking about, especially 2K. We'll definitely be ranting a lot, especially. I'm sure when we get to the episode about talking about the news and stuff like that, we already know. There's gonna be a lot that I got to say. Yeah. All right.
Great mode. I want to play as women though. Let me play as women 2K.
There you go. So we already talked about your number 1 story editor. So I'll just add. So I follow this dude. I don't know if he's legit or not, but he's a supposed 2K leaker. But his info has kind of seemed pretty correct from what I've seen. Like his track record kind of tracks. So going 2-story editor, I saw somebody on X ask him like, "Hey, what's up with that?" Apparently, from what he says, and again, could be totally wrong. Take it with a grain of salt. But I always like to kind of dive into that world a little bit. He says that the reason why story editor, or the reason why universe mode in general, that's what the guy asked. He's like, why is there never any update to universe mode other than like a small thing? Apparently, there's a coding issue with the code of universe mode that prevents them from like doing anything other than a small update every year. So that's apparently why.
Idiotic. Just fix your coding.
That seems to be why. So if that is true, 2K, again, devs, if you're listening, if that is true, hey, it's okay. Things happen. You guys have gone through a bunch of different systems and whatnot. So, I could see maybe there is a coding issue. Revamp the damn mode.
Nah, fuck that. Pick up the ball. Stop dropping.
Right. So if there is a coding issue, stop making excuses, please. Stop letting the stupid little string of code prevent you from making a great mode even better. And so yeah, if you could figure that out, rebuild that mode from scratch if you can. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all took a whole year off to revamp the game, and then you just didn't revamp that part of the game, as if that wasn't something that people are playing all the time.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna need 2K. I'm gonna need you. And again, we'll go more into this in our episode about the news and whatnot, depending on what news we get. But yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to, if that's the case, then get rid of that mode, quote unquote, and rebuild it from scratch. Make it brand new. Y'all already know what works, so take the same features that were already there and just make it new with a new code, and then add onto it. I'm not a game dev, so maybe I'm acting like it's nothing and it's really something crazy, but I feel like it
probably is a lot of crazy stuff, but
right. But I feel like it's not that big of a deal, especially at this point. I feel like you could even that mode is so big and so beloved, and every year people just keep asking for it to be updated. I feel like if you took it and you rebuilt it from scratch, that could be the big selling point of the game for that year. Every year there's, here's the brand new War Games. Here's a brand new, there's always like a new feature or a new mode that is the focal point of the game for that year. If you rebuild universe mode, you can literally make that the big update and the big selling point of the game, and I'm sure people will go in droves to buy it as long as you do it right.
Absolutely. You could stop having your main selling point be the fact that it has the biggest roster ever. We know that it does. They say it every year. I'm going to get into that more, though.
Here's an ambulance match where it takes like 3 hours for it to actually finish. Don't know what's going on with that with the ambulance and the casket match. It takes like 3
Yeah.
hours for someone to actually go in there. So moving forward, after we just completely shit on it, my number one is none other than universe mode.
Woo! Yeah, universe mode. Fucking
um.
sucks. Fix it, but
Oh
it's
man.
great.
So yeah. So yeah. Like I said, rebuild it. Let's get some updates in there. Let's implement story editor, or at least y'all's version of story editor into universe mode. But at the end of the day, it is my favorite mode. Even in the current rendition, where I wouldn't even necessarily say it sucks, but it's definitely just old. It's still my favorite. Being able to have free range to create my own shows, use my custom superstars, use my custom championships, use my custom shows in general to have multiple shows and my own custom pay-per-views and stuff like that. Overall, having that freedom to do that stuff is definitely my favorite. I think what it really is, because you could in reality, if Universe didn't exist, you could just do that in exhibition. You know what I'm saying? I think what it mainly is that, for me, the appeal is that it's a set calendar. I think that's the main appeal. That I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? I know on Monday I have Raw, or I have, whatever my show is, and I know, okay, on this second Saturday or second Sunday, I have an NXT TakeOver, and then the Sunday after that, I have WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the main thing about having the free range, but it's all tracked. You know what I'm saying? It's all there. Your rosters are there. Your championships are there. Your shows are there on the day that you set them. So yeah, I think that's the big part, is that it's all there. I don't have to constantly set something up and things like that. So yeah, universe mode is my number one, even though it does need a crazy update, and by update at this point, I mean a crazy rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah, as much as we can shit on it, it still is also my favorite mode in these modern 2K games.
For sure.
Like you said, the whole calendar system, I think, is really what kind of brings it together. I think the fact that there's like, you can go throughout a whole year, and then you could also just kind of look back on the history of everything that you have done up to
Yeah.
that point, and things of like rivalries, title changes, all that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff gets saved. You can make changes to like wrestlers' appearances and like entrances, tag teams, all that kind of stuff. There's so
100%.
much free range you could really do with it. Hope to God that does get rebuilt, revamped, and just made even better, because it really does need it. And this is a mode that we both love very much. So I've put countless hours into it. You've put
Even
far
more.
more countless hours into it. I'm more than sure.
Yeah.
We love it so much. We just want to see the best for it.
Exactly. We want the reason to have to not put it down, and I still can't put it down. I still play it. I still go, because I have my fully created version, and then I have the PS4 version where I have kind of a normal version, but I have all the cost slots are just updated tires for everybody, or people like Penta who aren't in the game, or Jada Parker, things like that. So I constantly am going between the two. Yeah, I love it so much. I still can't put it down, but I need it to be revamped. It's just a little boring in that way. I still enjoy doing my matches and doing my pay-per-views and whatnot, but like when I play, whether I'm doing no matter what universe I'm doing, I kind of, for the most part, just skip to the pay-per-views. I don't
Right.
really like sit and play like Raw and SmackDown and NXT unless I have something in mind I want to do that I can do. For the most part, I just kind of skip to the pay-per-views, do title matches, and then move to the next pay-per-view. If they implement the story editor, I'm going to be playing every single show, because I'm going to be. It's going to be so bad, because I'm gonna spend so much time. It's gonna legitimately take me 4 weeks to get to a pay-per-view, because I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna take so much time to work on a Raw that I'm gonna do, and then I'm just never gonna see it again.
Right.
Which
It's
in
going to take you a
story
whole
editor,
year to get to the WrestleMania.
right? In story editor, there was the calendar system. It was the same thing, or at least in some of them, there was the calendar system. So I hope it's the same thing where they implement story editor and whatnot. But when they do implement story editor, because in the story editor with the calendar, you would build it out, and you could do every single day on there. You could do a show every single day if you want to, but you can go back and replay it. You can go back and watch it. So if they do implement story editor, which they need to do, please make that an option too. I don't want to. I don't want to spend 5 hours building out a whole show with matches and segments to then just finish it and then just never see it again, because that would also be kind of insane. So yeah, please implement that feature too, where you can kind of go back and watch it. Because I would definitely I would go back and watch, or I would go back and screen record it, and then I would upload it to YouTube, and I would have I'd have an actual eFed where people could watch my actual shows. So yeah, universe mode is my number one.
Yeah, that may have been why I was actually getting it confused earlier because they both do have a calendar system, and that's probably why I thought they were both integrated in the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely they need to revamp it for sure.
100%. Well,
My number one is gonna be being able to play as Jimmy Wang Yang in SmackDown vs. Raw 2009.
100%.
That's my number one.
I mean,
Best feature.
you could just download the call every year, which I'm sure you probably already do. And if you don't
Yeah.
do it,
Yeah,
I was gonna say
I
if you
do.
don't do it, you're gonna be doing it in 2K25 for sure.
Yep. He'll probably be one of the first ones, honestly.
You
It'll
should
be
just make
him
yourself
and then
and
a
him in a
bunch of
tag
other
team.
pop culture characters.
Yeah, you should make you and him a tag team.
Oh,
There you
that's
go.
what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're both gonna be cowboys.
Yeah, something Cowboys. Yep,
The
for sure.
Outlaws.
There you go. I have an idea before we close it out too. I feel like we kind of talked about it. I talked to Jesse from the Wrestling Nerds Radio Network quickly about it. I feel like it would be cool if the next game, if we were able to have like a Wrestling Nerds Radio Network universe mode where I have a show. It's all branded with the WNRN and the OTS Project branding and stuff. But I have a show, you have a show, and we do like one video a week where we just go through both shows. I feel like that would be pretty cool. So maybe that's an idea that we could have coming to YouTube soon or something like that. We want to, we talked about it a little bit. We want to get into like kind of doing more content on YouTube and stuff, not just doing the podcast, but doing, videos and things like that. So I feel like that might be a cool little thing we might be able to do.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be down for it. It's always a fun time when we do it just on our own. So if we could do it like for content and whatnot, let's go for it.
That'd be great. So there we go. There's our list, our top 5 wrestling game features, modes, things like that. You got anything else you want to add, Mr. Theo, before we end this episode?
Make sure to follow us on our socials at OTS Bebop, at OTS Bridger. Follow us on X.
At
also,
OTS
make sure
Project
to follow
on Instagram as well.
Yep, OTS Project. Make sure to follow them. Make sure to follow the WNRN on X as well and on Spotify.
Oh, yeah. That's about it.
That's about it. Yeah.
I feel like we have some really cool things in the works. I don't want to be the guy that's like stay tuned, and because I feel like when people say that, things don't happen, and then you just kind of look like an asshole. But I feel like we do have some really cool stuff that we're working on between you and me, or me and Jesse. There was something we talked about, a certain piece of gold that's above my head that we might be able to transform into something else that would be really cool. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, we have some really cool stuff in the works. So if you are listening, we appreciate you listening from the start. I know we probably have one listener, if that. But yeah, we appreciate you listening. We have some really cool stuff that we want to. We want to really cool stuff that we want to start implementing, whether it's YouTube stuff or for the podcast in general. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching or listening. We should have a frame too that we just got that I'm gonna add in here. So that's really cool. That's a cool little addition that we got.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's really nice with our project logo. So yeah, thank you all for watching or listening on Spotify, YouTube. Yeah, we appreciate you. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.